Hello, my name is Stephen Denman. My organisation is Shining Guidance. My website is shiningguidance.com. I'm going to talk to you today about how the alien abduction experience is fully connected to the different characteristics and traits that define autism spectrum disorder or ASD. Now, for many individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD, alien abduction is a very real and effective type of event that causes fear and worry, tension, and very deep levels of ongoing mental stress. They can experience, therefore, what has become also known as Post Abduction Syndrome or PAS. Now, the psychological condition that is being defined as post abduction syndrome or PAS explains the behaviours that develop in some individuals who also have autism spectrum disorder or ASD, and even those that are classed as neurotypical. In response to the abduction experience that they have had with a certain type of extraterrestrials or even ultra terrestrials. It is characterized by the re experiencing of the alien abduction event as related memories, fragments, or distortions of those memories. And for those individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD, or even those who are neurotypical, it is accompanied by symptoms of increased levels of anxiety and by way of avoidance of stimuli that seemingly would otherwise activate different kinds of alien abduction based memories or alien abduction related events that have happened in the past to such individuals. The affected persons may experience levels of anxiety that fully interfere with the functioning of their persona, their occupation, or in the social areas of their own personal lifestyles. Now, we know that there's been a number of studies and articles written over the years concerning the subject of alien abduction and its connections to autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions. We know that on the 23rd of July 2012, the media organization that's based in the United States of America called Psychology Today published an article called Five Traits That Could Get You Abducted by Aliens, which gives clear indications as to how individuals with autism spectrum disorder or ASD can become more likely to experience the alien abduction phenomena because of their incredible cognitive and intellectual abilities. We know from another article that was published on the 31st of January 2020 by the research organisation from the United Kingdom called UFO Insight. And the actual article that they published was called The Best UFO Sightings, Videos and Encounters of 2020, where in that article there was a specific account of a male child with autism spectrum disorder or ASD who was abducted by extraterrestrials because of his advanced intellectual abilities. So we know that there is definite connections between the alien abduction phenomena and those individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions, as well as for those who are neurotypical. Now, we know from looking at post abduction syndrome, the requisite feature of that psychological condition is the development of a distinctive symptomatology in relation to the experience of the alien abduction phenomena, which is often ongoing in contrast to post traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, and also the condition that is known as acute stress disorder or ASD, where the stressor is usually a discrete and time limited occurrence that takes place, which is not repeated in the lifetime of the individual concerned. So, post abduction syndrome or PAS, in most instances, is the result of the sense or memory of being taken away by force or without consent by extraterrestrials or even ultra terrestrials, and then the associated kinds of physically intrusive or invasive procedures which such extraterrestrials or perhaps even ultra terrestrials can sometimes use during the abduction experience. The abductee who has autism spectrum disorder or ASD, or even those who are neurotypical, will have a perceived sense of fear of their own actual death or a concern of a threat of death to to their own existence in the 3D holographic reality of this material dimension, or even just a threat to their own physical integrity while they still exist here. They may witness the alien abduction of another individual, or even learn about the alien abduction experiences, or gain a discernment about the abduction of a relative or a close friend from just talking with them over a period of number of months or years. So just briefly, we're going to go into looking at the characteristics of post-abduction syndrome, or also known as PAS, and how this correlates with the characteristics for many individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD, and even for some that are neurotypical. And these can include an ongoing re-experiencing of the fear-based event characterized by memory flashbacks, a persistent avoidance of stimuli associated with the original trauma, having a denial of the unusual event that took place, labeling the event as something else and feeling cognitively disorientated and distant from their own thoughts and memories, having a phobic avoidance of areas or situations where contact possibly occurred in the past, such as a geographic location, a specific date, a specific weather pattern or weather phenomena, for example, that was connected to the actual alien abduction events. They may have an emotional reaction to literature or imagery or videos about extraterrestrials or spacecraft, and they may experience a numbing of their emotions and responsiveness characterized by an inability to feel intimacy, pleasure, or to express a wide variety of emotionality, and possibly having a diminished interest or even a lessening of participation in previously enjoyable social activities. So there's many different aspects to post-abduction syndrome or PAS that very much correlate with the characteristics that define autism spectrum disorder or ASD. Another example of this would be they have a feeling there's a sense of foreshortened perceptibility in their own future. They have no expectation of normal life events or a normal lifespan compared to, shall we say, more neurotypical human beings. An individual that has post-abduction syndrome or PAS may have a specific kind of anxiety that persists in surges of intensity that can include hypervigilance and having an exaggerated startle response. They may have a sense of irritability and have ongoing daily and nightly panic attacks. So you can see there's a lot of connections there between post-abduction syndrome or PAS and autism spectrum disorder or ASD. So I thought bringing that to light would be relevant to looking into the deeper aspects of autism spectrum disorder or ASD and how this really does affect a very large number of individuals. And we can see very clearly that the characteristics of post-abduction syndrome or PAS really reveal quite a startling level of similarities to many of the traits that children and adults with autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions have and exhibit on a regular basis. And in contrast to post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, where a survivor can feel some level of guilt, the child or adult with autism spectrum disorder or ASD may feel guilt at being different because of their own alien abduction experience, or they may feel they've contributed to factors that have led to the alien abduction experience in some way because they feel inadequate or worthless, or they did something that was quirky or unusual that led to this event, or they may feel that it has affected the emotionality of other people in the family or distant relatives or even friends of the family in some way. So there's a lot of interconnections there. So I think I've brought to light this fascinating correlation between both, post abduction syndrome or PAS and autism spectrum disorder or ASD. I think it's a very valid connection. We know that obviously other aspects can include sleep disturbances, irregular sleep patterns and insomnia, as well as major depressive disorder or MDD, also known as clinical depression for individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions. So we know there's obviously a lot of connectivity there between these two different psychological conditions. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed presenting this fascinating information about the correlations that exist between Post Abduction Syndrome, or PAS, and Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD. And obviously a very large number of individuals who have autistic traits have experienced, because of those, shall we say, psychological elements in their outlook and perception on this 3D holographic reality in this material dimension, what appears to be alien abduction experiences over many years. So on that note, folks, thank you very much for watching this video. There'll be plenty more videos to come in the near future. And on that, though, I'd like to say thank you very much once again, and take care and goodbye.